On today's starting nine, Snake and Carl give their immediate knee-jerk reactions to the ALCS and NLCS action so far. Loaded stuff across the board, some amazing performances, pitching performances, bullpen performances. One more time, we'll just be quick. On today's starting nine, Snake and Carl sit down and give their immediate knee-jerk reactions to the ALCS, NLCS performances so far. Some look-aheads, pitching performances, pitching matchups, series dynamics, strategy, you name it. It's a loaded show. It's starting nine. It's the middle of the playoffs. Let's get into it. Let's have a great show. Action! And welcome back to starting nine. Playoff coverage starting nine. We're getting familiar with this look. Jake, you're in the basement again. The bar looks spectacular. Spectacular night of baseball. So much shit to talk about, even though there's just two games. Checking in. How we doing, big fella?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Yeah, two really good games today. And then we got to, go over Game 5, Guardians Yankees. San Diego, Philly was crazy. I think the Astros Yankees Game 1 of the CS was kind of as expected. Not necessarily like who was going to win that game, but just kind of how it played out and who played big roles. Expected Verlander to come back and have a better one after his last start, against Seattle, and he did just that. He was filthy. Their bullpen is filthy. I mean, the young rising star and Jeremy Pena, like it just from Rhode Island, like what is going on? Like you lose Correa and you just find this kid and he's 3 for 3 with 2 doubles in a tank. Like
he looks so good.
He looks like a Major League Baseball player. He's jacked. He's fast. He plays great defense. He's got a great swing. He's turning into a star already, and if you're able to do that kind of stuff on this stage, as young as he is, amazing. Like there must be some in the water. Houston's not that far from me. I need to get some of the water they've got. Maybe give it to Cooper. We'll see what happens. But yeah, some great games, man. Some great games.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about. I want to get into Jeremy. I have a nugget about Jeremy Pena. This nugget's sponsored by Game Time. Nugget. Yeah, I got some nugs. But Game Time sponsoring this nugget of information about Jeremy Pena. If you guys know Game Time, I'm trying to use Game Time this playoffs because it's the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports and the lowest price guaranteed. If you guys have not added this to your ticketing and concert and show and game repertoire, anytime you're trying to get tickets on the phone, out of your mind not to be using Game Time. Put the app on the phone. We've had tons of fans using it, hitting up us on social, talking about the great deals they're getting. I've talked about it religiously. I'm saying again, I'm using it for MLB playoffs. If you are using Game Time MLB playoffs, let me know. Obviously, I support that. You know how much I love the sponsors here, guys. Download Game Time app, go to the account tab to create a login, and redeem code STARTING9 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Game Time. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Some big playoff games coming up. Some diehards in Philly. Hopefully you guys are listening to this. Smitty was joining the stream the other night. Very much enjoying that collaboration. You guys have an opportunity. 3 home games coming up. 1-1. They're going to need your support. Use Game Time. Yankee fans, you gabagool, greasy folks, you're going to need some support when they come back this weekend too. We love you. I do have some stuff to talk about the Yankee fans. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Here's the nugget about Jeremy Pena.
Let's hear it.
Just to remind everybody again, Jeremy Pena hit 12 home runs in college for a 305 average, then got drafted in the 3rd round of 2019. He played 40-something games. And then you know what happened the next year? They didn't have minor league season. He just fucking hung around and was like, I got to work out. I got to get better. I'm a professional athlete. I got drafted in the 3rd round. And so the guys that got drafted in 19 and then did not have minor league affiliation in 2020 because of the lockout or because of COVID, and then the lockout in 2021, and just how much the lockout was this year, but just how much bullshit. Like
what did he do though? I need to hear what he did. How did he turn into this player? He showed up in
2021 and went from fucking.
I need you to tell me what he did.
Dude, he showed up after hitting like mildly being successful in 2019 through 40 games, took a year off, showed up in 2021 and went from high A to triple A.
How though? What did he do? I need to. That's biceps. I don't under. That's what I'm. I need the nugget. I need the information. How did he become this guy?
Okay. I don't have the key to unlock this, but what people have to understand is this is the exact fucking time the Houston Astros. It was in 2021. At the start of 2021, Jeremy Pena had fucking a couple dozen minor league games to his name as a third rounder. By the end of 2021, the Astros were like, we got our shortstop. So whatever the fuck happened between the start of 2021 and the end of the 2021 season, that dude was so good that the front office was like, Carlos Correa can go to the Twins, and they were fucking right.
And you give the organization a lot of credit. You have to give Jeremy Pena equal or more credit as well. I mean, he's the guy out there going to do it. But the development piece is a huge component in his progression, obviously. But the makeup of Jeremy Pena has got to be off the charts. It doesn't happen unless it is. And I'm glad that the game has a player like that. Not that he's the only one, but the story is just so incredible that it's hard to believe. It's not some highly touted guy like Bryce Harper, who everyone knows was going to be the first pick overall, and then he gets the big leagues the next year, and he's instantly good. It's almost the complete opposite of that. So to watch him do what he's doing at the highest level of the game, like there's no next level. He's there, and he's doing it. Not only did he have a nice regular season, but now he's doing it against the ultimate competition. One stage before the World Series against the New York Yankees. So beautiful stuff.
Yeah, it says beautiful a lot about the character. Like that's yes. what like the guy that takes the time away from the infrastructure, and where other guys probably struggle with that. He's just like, dude, I got it.
His parents did a great job with him. You know, they must have done a great job with this kid. That's all I can say.
So, all right, we'll get to the Astros, Yankees. Obviously, Padres, Phillies, with a ton to talk about. We had the stream going last night with Shane Green and Smitty. Obviously, thank everybody.
That was fun. I'm glad they were with us.
We'll do more streams. We have a couple more we're going to do throughout the playoffs and have some more guests with us. I like having the guys around. It was cool when you guys were talking your stuff. I also thought it was interesting just sitting there and listening to Shane and Smitty talk. I'm like, all right, this is what baseball is all about. Just like,
you remember when Smitty it was during the wild card series when something bad happened. He's like, we're gonna lose this game. Like we're fucking terrible. Like it's not gonna happen. Like whatever. And then I don't remember what game it was. Like he or maybe it was that game. He came back on the stream. He's like, we're winning the series. We're taking the Cardinals down. We're going to the World Series. We're winning it all. Like. The swings and emotions are amazing. I love it. So to see that like live real time was hilarious. But he's got to be feeling good. And even though they lost tonight, they did their job. They got a win in San Diego. They split the series there. They go home to the bank for 3 games, and now you really got to take care of business. But the way it unfolded, it had to be frustrating because I thought they were going to win that game. I mean, I would have put my money on the Phillies. I always would put my money on Nola. I think that I believe that Snell did an incredible job overcoming what happened in the second inning. Ended up throwing 5, pitched fairly well, but it could have easily gotten worse for the Padres. They didn't allow that. They stepped up. They won the game, and we'll get into it. Yeah, I mean it was a fun game to watch. It was.
Fucking dogs, man. I do. You know what? I'm going to give you credit. I've thoroughly enjoyed the playoff coverage from you, and you do have a good sense there because you know where I'm going. And you're like, before Carl goes down this path, I do want to recap all this stuff and give everybody a high-level picture because you know where I'm going. You know exactly the path I need to go down.
I usually don't, but I'm trying to follow you. But go wherever you want.
I was going to say your instincts there are high because I'm going to say before we get to what I'd like to do is Yankees Astros, but we should say just a little bit about the Guardians because there were some electric moments in that series. They went 5 games in a DS. To me, a 5-game DS is just about as good as anything. Like that's just the pitching. Just everybody's all banged up. There were some fucking weird circumstances here with the weather. My 2 big takeaways from the Game 5 were Josh Naylor is just a walking dead body. I don't know if you saw what the Yankee fans were doing to this guy. Now it got to the point where Gleyber Torres made the last out and is fucking out there. Like,
how good was that? It couldn't have ended in any better fashion. I understand like a little of the trash talk and shit, but when you hit a homer like that and you're fucking rocking the baby all the way around the bases, like who the fuck do you think you are? I don't know him from Adam. And I'm sure he's a decent dude. And in between the lines, you kind of take over or take on a different personality sometimes. But that shit's going to bite you in the ass a lot. And it did. And I know a lot of his teammates are probably shaking their head like, what are you doing, man? Come on. Like that. We don't need to go that far. We don't need to go that far because now they're home. And Gleyber he had the last laugh. And now they're playing in Houston. Even though they lost tonight, like they're in the CS. Indians are at home.
Yeah, young guy, got his opportunity. I think he's been traded a couple times. Settling in
how
here
young
with the
is
Guardians.
He?
Like 24, 25.
He looks 35.
Canadian, weathered.
Yeah.
Multiple seasons a year,
and he's had some nice moments. Dude,
hit a game-time grand slam against the White Sox and like another 3-run bomb in the 11th inning. And he's been an emotional guy. I think that came up in our scouting report on the blog that he's a little bit known as kind of this guy that, is just very intense. And he had a great moment. He had a great moment.
He had a great moment. Cleveland was up 2-1.
And then completely lost the moment.
They felt like they were probably in a really good position to win the series, which they were. They didn't start Bieber Game 5, which they should have, and the reasons for not, he's never pitched on 3 days rest or he hasn't been paid yet. Fuck that! Like you win or go home. He's gonna get paid.
What do you think? I do want to talk about this because Tito Francona comes into this game here with a couple things under his belt. Now at the time, he is. This is off the top of my head. If I'm wrong, go ahead and correct me. I believe he's 44-33 in the playoffs coming in to Game 5. And one of those wins was Game 7 in 2004 where he ran back Derek Lowe on 2 days rest at Yankee Stadium. Now, obviously, Derek Lowe, different situation, back end of his career, Game 7, ALCS, where Shane Bieber – I was kind of on Tito's side because it's like if Tito's like, I'm not running him out there.
Savali got 1 out. He got one out.
Okay, if Savali gets 3 outs or 6 outs.
You throw your best guy, and he had 3. He would have had 3 days rest. You let him go out there, and you let him try and go 2 or 3 innings, and then you send it to, Steven or Karinchak or Clase, whatever.
Point the finger at Bieber or Tito. Which one?
I'm not pointing the finger. I
will. I'll say, who's it up to? Who's it up to? Who's it up to take them out in that situation? Because Bieber's coming off shoulder surgery, and the Indian or the Guardians probably want to trade him this offseason.
He's coming off shoulder surgery. Everyone's coming off some sort of injury at some point. But how far back are you going to go? 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months. There's always There's always an injury there. You see what I'm saying? Like.
Yeah, but the Guardians
he's healthy now, is he not?
They have the 26th highest payroll or lowest or however the fuck that works. They have they're 20. They spend $82 million a year. They're pathetic.
Let Rays spend 2 innings. See if
the Rays spend almost 20% more than the Guardians do.
I don't care about the payroll at all.
I'm saying the way that they make the decision. the way they make the decision is that they don't want him to get hurt. Like, I think it's a chicken shit decision that is coming down from somebody above Tito that's being like, you're not running Bieber out there because the last thing this organization needs is this guy to, like, throw a shoulder in the third inning, then we get toasted, and then we can't trade or do anything. This guy, now we have him rehabbed while we're paying him an arbitration of $12 million.
Is that we're always so worried about that somebody's going to get injured. Always worried about that. It's not a fucking guarantee that someone's going to get hurt just because you throw them out there on 3 days rest. We throw 50, 60 pitch bullpens on 1 day rest. I'm throwing a max effort bullpen sometimes on 1 day rest. He gets 3 days of rest. Yeah, on purpose. Like, if you're not feeling great, yeah, you might only throw 20 or 25 pitches, and you might back off the intensity to 80%. But there are times throughout the season, typically earlier in the year, where the effort is super high and the pitch count is higher. But late in the season, you're still throwing a decent amount of pitches with pretty good effort. I mean, are we getting asked by the front office or the manager if we should throw a bullpen that day or how many pitches we should throw? No, like, we dictate what we're going to do on our side day. Some guys throw it day 2, some guys throw it day 3. Some guys throw 30 pitches, some guys throw 80 pitches. I mean, Darvish probably throws 75, 80 pitches in his side. So I understand that they don't want him to get hurt. You don't want any of your guys to get hurt. But you're also in a situation where you gotta beat the Yankees on the road to move on to the championship series. And Shane Bieber was just like, I don't know how he was feeling, but I'm sure he was good enough to go out there and try and get his team 9 outs. I can say that for a fact. And they probably didn't even allow him to have any say in the conversation.
Well, I have a fucking take.
I've heard it.
Because I'm gonna get They
have a low payroll and they didn't.
No, I've said that. I'm gonna get killed for that. That's gonna get clipped up. People will share that. That'll be on social media, and then I'll have a bunch of people in my DMs being like, "You fucking dumb motherfucker." I'm just giving up different perspectives of why didn't Shane Bieber pitch. I should start with how I feel. Okay, how I feel. I feel Shane Bieber should be on the mound at Yankee Stadium pitching his fucking balls off. I think Shane Bieber should be the last guy off that fucking field. I think his teammates should have to drag him off the fucking mound because he's the face of that organization. He's the reason some of that pitching staff's come together the way it has. He's the fucking absolute biggest gangster outside Jose Ramirez. Of course Shane Bieber should be on the mound. Of course.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't think his teammates should have to drag him off the mound. It's not,
but Aaron Savali's the second option. That's how I feel. Now, watching it and seeing Tito Francona, who I started with saying this is one of the best managers of my lifetime, and he didn't have Shane Bieber out there. Okay, so now this doesn't make sense. It doesn't. So how do we get to this decision? So there's a couple things in my mind where it's like, all right, maybe it comes down above Tito, because to me it's like, of course Tito would run him out there. Unless Shane Bieber was like, I can't pitch at all. Tito was like, hey, how's your arm? Had to. And then what does Shane Bieber say? Now, I don't know anything about Shane Bieber. I don't want to say anything.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm not going to put words in his mouth or try and figure out if he said he couldn't pitch or not. I don't think that was the case. I mean, again, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that the GM, the owner, whoever the fuck, maybe Francona, said, we don't feel comfortable with you going out there on 3 days rest because we know that you're not going to hold anything back. You're going to do what you have to do. But dude, you got that far. Like, it's not 1 day rest. It's not even 2 days rest. He had 3 days of rest. Use him as an opener. I'm throwing him. Unless he's hanging, unless he's not feeling good, then yeah. But you're not going to throw a guy out there if he says, "Man, I'm not feeling right. Something's off." Then of course you're going to go to somebody else.
This is a comment I'd feel much more comfortable making if I was making it to a guy who had won one of these awards. But I feel like in order to win a Cy Young award, you have to be like a different caliber of pitcher. Not even just like starting pitcher. You have to be able to go to a certain level. And we've talked about this in the show before. We were like, dude, yeah, I'm out in the bullpen doing this stuff. And again, I wish I was not making this comment to somebody who had won this award. My perception of that tier and caliber of pitcher is if you had 3 days rest in an elimination game at Yankee Stadium, you are going into Tito's office and being like, yo, what? You picked who? Like, you picked, like, could you imagine the Rocket or like Pedro or fucking like Greg Maddux or John
They all
Smoltz
pitch.
or
Yes,
any,
they all pitch.
all these guys are like, what? No, I just watched the Nolan Ryan documentary and I'm fired up. I just need like take a deep breath here. I'm like,
You're not going to be able to sleep tonight.
I know I'm not.
I might watch it before bed and stay out and just pull an all-nighter. Is if you lay in bed and you're not asleep, but you're laying in bed resting, do you get any benefit of that? Or is it just basically like you stayed up all night? Because I've done it a few times. Like you have those nights where you just flat out cannot shut it down. And then you look at your watch or whatever and it's 5:30. You're like, let's start the day.
Yeah, that has been a repeated I've been doing a lot of that lately. And now I'm like, what time? It's 10:30 Central.
Yeah,
I'm over here drinking coffee.
100%.
Drinking coffee
100%.
with a cold one. I
But
just can't. My
Here,
point,
we'll-
the
this is-
playoff baseball is getting me very excited. And I want to go back to the Nolan Ryan comment just because the idea of him after watching that documentary and the way that he's looked at as like the all-time ace, the all-time just bad boy fucking Texan tough dude. And it's like that guy never won a Cy Young award. And they were interviewing a bunch of Hall of Famers, and one of the questions they were asking, how many Cy Young awards do you think Nolan Ryan won? And they were going 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. And then they had the reactions. He actually won 0. And they go, what?
Well, what we should do is because he played for 27 years, we should pick out like his top 15 seasons, and then look at who won the Cy Youngs those years, just to compare it, right? Because maybe it's hard to think that in 27 years he didn't win one, but maybe he just, every year there was one guy who had the best year of his career and he won it, right? And then the next year, same sort of thing. Some guy had a miraculous Cy Young type season and then never pitched to that level again. Nolan had, I don't want to say 27 above average years, but he had probably 20.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He probably had 20 years that were close to elite or awesome, because I'm sure there were a handful of years that he had that were fairly pedestrian from a Nolan Ryan standard perspective, and I'm assuming that they were like the earliest years of his career, maybe 1 or 2 in the middle, and then a couple at the end. But then you have 10 or 12 sandwiched kind of around that, which is just bizarre to think.
27 years is that's the thing I won't, but he had a year where he finished second in Cy Young voting, and this blew me away. He won 21 games. He broke the strikeout record, 383 strikeouts. He threw 2 fucking no-hitters and led the league in batting average against and all this shit, like complete games.
Yeah, so I'm looking. He had the first year of Cy Young votes, 72, finished 8th, 73, finished 2nd, 74, finished 3rd.
73.
77, he finished 3rd. 81, finished 4th. 83, 9th. 87, 5th. And then all the way down to 1989, he was a top 5 in Cy Young voting. And then, okay, this is weird. So in 1990, he was 25th in MVP voting, but didn't get Cy Young votes or didn't finish in the top whatever. Just a weird, like these writers, they need to.
Yeah.
Do you not agree that the people that vote on these kind of awards should be like former Cy Young Award winners or all-stars or whatever?
I think you would be happy to know that my arch nemesis across baseball and life is the Baseball Writers Association. I hate baseball journalism culture so much because it's so fucking exclusive and so hard to reach. It was one of the most mysterious things. How do they know these guys and get these stories and all this stuff? It's been very disappointing as I've gotten older. I'm so out on these people because now that you learn about, like, wait, why'd they vote like this and that, and the more information that's out there, it just turns out these people just have biases. They just vote for people they like. It just
that's kind of true. In 1981, the reason he didn't finish, probably the reason he didn't get the Cy Young, he only threw 150 innings, but he had a 1.69 ERA, 21 starts. It looks like, I'm assuming he had some injuries that year. Was still an All-Star, 4th in the Cy Young, 16th in the MVP. I mean, that was his only year that he had an ERA with a 1 in front of it. Not saying that, like he wasn't any good. What was his lowest?
Now, I want to
get
to. I'll say this because now it's a great transition to the Astros.
He had a 2.28 in he had 39 starts. Okay. All right. Let's get off. We'll talk about Nolan later. Let's get to the Astros.
I think the legacy is from the fact that he leads the history of Major League Baseball in fewest hits per 9 innings. I think the legacy is that guys walk around and they go, that's the hardest motherfucker I've ever had to hit against. And they go, I didn't know he walked 7 guys last week. They don't give a shit. But he has more guys walking around going, I'm 0 for fucking 20. I'm 1 for 7. I had never hit that guy. And I think that if you watch the documentary, enough on Nolan Ryan, we got to get him on the show. And credit to Nolan Ryan because just bringing up his name generates a fucking 10 to 15 minute tangential conversation in the middle of the MLB playoffs. And that was brought to you guys by Ridge Wallet. Ridge Wallet. How about that? You know who loves Ridge Wallet? I don't know if Nolan Ryan does, but I fucking love Ridge Wallet. We do. Jake, you love it. You got to – I'll just say it. Jake, I'll say it. All right? This was when I was putting together the partnership with Ridge Wallet, I was like, I don't know. We need a good wallet because – the podcast by average, we are if you just averaged how much money we have, we're both, there's a lot of money on this podcast. We need a good wallet. We need a good wallet to take care of the money that we've made in our careers, and it holds up to 12 cards plus room for the cash that we've made. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. They have a new key case to help you guys organize your keys. It secures anywhere from 2 to 6 keys, which is very convenient for a lot of you listeners that are going to be moving into apartments and you got new keys or you're taking on a new job and then the boss is like, we got to give you keys. And you're like, I don't want to put this in the keychain. You know who I'm talking to. The keys are a problem too in the pockets. It's not a problem yet until you're out. And then you're like walking around the bar and you just feel the keys grinding. They're just grinding through the denim. And that's not a good feeling. Ridge Wallet's got you taken care of, organizes your keys in compact silhouettes and full for easy access. There are 6 colors and styles, including, as I said before, carbon fiber, burnt titanium. Hey, how you doing? Check out their site, ridge.com. Use the code STARTING9 for 10% off your order. Ridge Wallet. Guys, Ridge Wallet. Where do you get it? Ridge.com. Ridge.com. Starting9 for 10% off your order. I'm sorry to appropriate your career earnings in that ad read. However, I will say in marketing our streams on Twitter this week, being like, hey, check out our streams. I hope you don't mind. I'm like, check out our stream. This is the only podcast hosted. I think we're the only podcast on the internet that has won a Silver Slugger, a Cy Young, and a World Series.
Hey, that's a good thing. That makes us unique. And
thrown a perfect game at the Marionette Park Men's League in the 2006 Summer League. So if you put those four accomplishments together.
I don't know if I ever threw a perfect game. But I can't remember back that far, like to Little League. A lot of that stuff is kind of foggy.
I was in college, but okay.
Well, I'm just saying. I can't. I don't know if I might have thrown one when it didn't really matter. No one cares. But the Silver Slugger is the coolest one I have. It's the coolest looking award. I think the Cy Young should be done a little bit better because the Silver Slugger is it's a badass looking award. I mean, it's a full bat. It's heavy.
Trophy?
Yeah, I have it. It's somewhere in the house.
Not now.
We're putting no, I'm not going to go get it. But we're putting together a gallery of a timeline of my career that some company's going to help us do because we just got too much shit to go through. Bobbleheads everywhere, memorabilia, it's crazy. We need to get rid of a lot of it.
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
We will.
Giveaways, charity. We'll raise money, awareness. I would like to do something in the off season to get people who listen to the show to send us old baseball equipment that I can then donate to the Chicago Public Schools and stuff around the city. That's a lot of stuff to talk about on that front. Now we're just going. I'm like, oh, you got memorabilia, charity, that gallery you have too, good stuff. We should do something on the awards, like a funny series about breaking down the design and we should get.
We'll do all that. We'll do all that. But first,
some ideas.
we got too much to talk about. We'll get to that.
This is playoff fucking start at 9. I get so fired up. And people would bitch. They'd be like, dude, stop talking about Liv. I'm like, wait. All right. I want to start with the Yankees and the Astros. Verlander, like you said off the top. All right, bounce back moment for Verlander. I think Girardi said it. I think Joe Madden said it. Can you possibly imagine that he's going to put it back-to-back duds? A big theme going into the playoffs. Wherever you shake up on both sides of the bracket, there's just this huge roadblock on the American League side. It's the Astros. Whoever get there. To me, I thought the best matchup would be the Guardians just because they have the depth. They have the depth to hang, put the bullpen up night after night after night after night. I think the Yankees are going to be in trouble, man.
They don't score.
Yeah, but look
enough.
at tonight's game. The Yankees were not in that game at all. I'm sorry.
No,
Ryan Stanton comes in there and you're just fucking nails at the end of the game. I think the Yankees are in big trouble.
They got, Bader's on fire. He hit his 4th homer. Rizzo hit a homer. There was an opportunity there in the 5th inning when Clark Schmidt came in the game. He was in the game with 1 out, runners on. There was a runner on first or second, and they intentionally walked Alvarez. And then, Bregman comes up, and he's got the lowest chase percentage in the American League, like 20%, 21%. And he just put together just an unbelievable at bat, taking borderline pitches and in a 3-2 count, spits on that slider. It's like, damn, so many guys swing at that pitch, the moment, the crowd, the opportunity to drive in a run. What does he do? He passes the baton, and he gets Kyle Tucker to the plate. Ended up not working out. Schmidt threw 2 nasty breaking balls, 1 away, 1 in, and then goes to just a filthy sinker and gets him to roll it over for a 4-6-3. Huge moment, but I mean, that game could have been busted wide open by the Astros, and the Yankees had a couple opportunities to do even more damage. Verlander was out there in the 3rd inning. I believe Rizzo walked. Stanton hit a double. And then Verlander just did what he does. He K'd Donaldson and Carpenter. He ended up jumping up to 97, 98 miles an hour. I think his hardest pitch of the game was in either the at-bat to Donaldson or to Carpenter. And he was pinpoint. He was up and into Carpenter. He was on the corner. Donaldson had no chance. Donaldson has been in a really, really awful slump. He did have a nice at-bat at the end of the game to draw a walk, to kind of, to get another man to the plate. But Presley was too good. I mean, Stanton hit a single, and they got some guys on base, but they just have guys that you continue to bring out of the bullpen. A guy like Rafael Montero, who made a huge transformation from Seattle coming over to Houston, finds himself. Shocker that he was able to do that with the Houston Astros. Gave up a solo homer to Rizzo, but hey, when you give up solo homers, typically it doesn't beat you, especially, when you have a lineup like the Astros. And there's just performance from 1 through 9. And Maldonado, of all people, RBI double in the first or second inning or whatever the hell it was. That's what I'm saying. It's like Maldonado he's not a hitter that you worry about really at all, but he comes through big, evens the score at 1. Like you get that, when you respond like that, you give up a run, you get a run. It's like, fuck. All right, we had the lead, we coughed it up. Now it's 0-0 again. So they just continue to step on your throat. There's no breaks in the lineup. The starting rotation's really good. The bullpen's really good, and they play awesome defense. So, there was a throwing error by Altuve, but he makes so mmany great plays, kind of makes up for it. But just kind of a dominant win, even though, the score was only 4-2. It felt like they dominated that game from start to finish.
I'd rather lose 10-1. As a fan. I don't know about you guys in the fucking clubhouse. A fan just watching it, just being a part, just saying, because then it's easier to say, fuck it, throw that one away. We'd be walking around going, God damn, Maldonado beat us, this and that.
You don't want to lose 10-1.
Clearly,
you don't lose 10-1. That's demoralizing for the bullpen, the starter.
Come on.
I hear your point. Like, you kind of know the game's over. Well before the ninth inning, when you kind of like you're on pins and needles, just kind of waiting for something to happen.
Just clear the mechanism.
But to be in it all the way up until the last 3 outs, I think is a much better feeling than being down 10-1 in the 5th.
Do some guys take it really hard? A close loss out of the playoffs, fucking not sleeping that night, walking around the next day, god damn. Or at that level, after all this play, bus rides and all this stuff, is it like it is what it is? It's not even worth it because it's such a fucking hard game.
Individuals are different. I can't speak for everybody, but I know I've had nights, sleepless nights where, like we were just talking about, like I'll be in bed you might not even get in bed. You might not even get in bed until 2:30, 3 o'clock, and you might be on your phone or you're listening to a podcast or you're doing something, and then next thing you know, it's 6:30, and you just stay up. It's like, let's go get breakfast. Fuck it. Where's Waffle House?
I think people would like to know more of that stuff when, like,
Oh, man.
I think one of the biggest rags athletes get is like, dude, I don't care. They never really fucking care. He's making all that money. It's like, I don't know, man. I think these guys are pretty fucking into their, like, name.
Into their craft,
out there and competing. And, like, you don't just actually.
No,
I
know a lot of guys that
such
would
a small
give money
percentage of
back
guys that
to have
accidentally
success.
get to the big leagues.
Yeah, there are guys that would give money back in exchange for success.
Which I think is a fucking point that is that's been a good point that I've learned from you. Yeah, that has helped me. I shouldn't say help me. I'm not like I need fucking help.
Well, but
it
know
has reframed the way I've thought about different things that have happened recently. And I said this point on the stream. A very funny part of this is like coming into this, I'm like, man, I know a fucking ton about baseball. This will be great. And it has actually been a humbling experience to realize how much I actually don't know.
Well, you know a lot about the game. You do. You know a lot about the history of the game. But there's certain things you just can't. There's things that you do that I just couldn't know because I don't do what you do. A lot of the things you do. Like, I'm not good at trivia. You're phenomenal at trivia. Congratulations for that.
I love you because I'm getting killed right now.
I've never been a trivia guy.
Knowing stuff.
I enjoy watching trivia like with people that are really good at it, and I'm just like, how the fuck do you know that answer? Like, just something no one should know other than like the people that wrote the book or were there for that event in like 1850. Like, how do you know it? Random shit like that. But my point is, when guys don't come through or we don't have success or things just go poorly, like we know there's people that we've let down unintentionally, and it can eat at you. It's tough to deal with. I think I would rather have that feeling, that personal feeling, than not feel it at all. You know, like play like shit just repetitively and then be able to fall asleep at night, no problem. I think I would rather have the sleepless nights and feel guilty in a sense for not coming through like I wanted to and like the fans wanted me to. But then like you also understand that it just doesn't work out that way a lot of the time. Like sometimes you're the nail, sometimes you're the hammer, and you gotta hang in there.
And there are some people that play at the highest level that are probably walking around being like, you know, more robotic and emotionless, but that's part of who they are that lets them get to the game. And there's something about baseball, how much individuality you have, where there's so many different stories. Like I just get drawn into the stories and how do people get there and what were your experiences, because it's just so hard. We did the stream with Shane Green. He's got great story about, you know, going to junior college is only got one offer, then Tommy John surgery, then community college and your community college shit. But then there's guys that go drafted in the first round. Then we could just keep going and going and going and going. But when we talk about the Astros, it's the Astros, Yankees, the Astros, there's stories up and down that lineup, compelling stories, reasons why those guys are in that lineup. They're not accidental. It's not, okay, we're just going to claim this guy or we're going to give this guy a shot. I just said a chance. A shot or a chance.
A chance.
A chance.
It's maybe a term. It's a shirt. It's a shirt. It's a chance shirt. And look, they neutralized Yordan Alvarez like you're supposed to, but what happens? You get production from other parts of the lineup. Peña's 3 for 4 with a homer. You got McCormick, who's 2 for 3 with a homer. I was trying to get the kids in bed, and when I saw the swing, I was like, oh, that looked like that's Altuve. I'm like, oh shit, no, it's Chas McCormick. First playoff homer of his career. Congratulations to him on that. You get an RBI double out of Maldonado. Tucker's 0 for 4, Bregman's 0 for 3, Altuve's 0 for 3. And they still, you know, Gurriel hit a homer. But when you have those guys without production, and then you get massive performances from 3 or 4 of the other guys, that's how you get the job done. And that's kind of, we talked about that with Phillies lineup, where it's not just 1 through 4, 1 through 5, and San Diego also. You know, it's like Kim, Austin Nola, Jake Cronenworth. Like those guys have performed when the moment's called for it, and that's why they're in the position they're in.
Yeah. Well, McCormick's, to me, again, just like, you know, we talked a ton about Jeremy Pena. I'll just do like the briefly thing about McCormick. 27 years old, second year in the league, making the league minimum, 21st round pick out of wherever the hell Millersville University is, Pennsylvania. No disrespect to Millersville. None at all. I'm a diehard, never heard of you guys. 21st rounder. Grinding it. Again, a guy who gets sucked up in the COVID thing, bounces out, comes out of it fucking into the big leagues in 2021. Now he's in the playoffs, popping. He's in a spot in the lineup where nobody expects anything other than go play some solid defense, give us good at-bats, and then to have success, and then that carries over. And then so when they say goodbye to a guy like Gurriel, or if it's whoever it is, not Tucker, obviously, but whoever it is in the next mix, when it's like, well, this and that. I mean, you get these guys, you plug them into the organization, they just become like the heartbeat of the Houston Astros. I'm not saying it's going to be McCormick. You know, Pena, I'm comfortable saying. Pena, I am comfortable saying. But they're so good at creating these opportunities for guys within the organization to come up, to have moments, you know, and then you look at the bullpen, you know, like even fucking Garcia not even having it, just coming in for 6 shutout innings.
Well, and let's not forget, let's talk about, we talked about, you know, Montero. Let's talk about Hector Neris for a second, because the transformation that he's made too, like he was in Philly with me, obviously, for a couple years, and the dude just like, he would throw split after split after split, and it was like if he didn't have that pitch on, he was blowing the save that night, and that's just kind of how it went. He would either punch out the side, or he couldn't get anybody out. He did not trust his fastball, and he has a really good one. When he came in the game tonight, I don't know the number of splits he threw, but he was just firing heaters in good locations. And at one point, I think I saw him throw 3 or 4 in a row. And now he's pitching extremely well. So, and yes, that's definitely something that, the analytical department with the Astros has brought to his attention. And it's really helped him out. He's become much more consistent. And he's a guy who really gives a shit too. And I'm sure a lot of the Philly fans are like, oh, this guy like doesn't care. He's just going out there going through the motions. That's not the case. Like you see like the defeat on guys' faces when they, like we just talked about, that continue to not have success time and time again. You come into a game with a lead and you just keep blowing it or whatever. That's rough. And he's come up big for them. Obviously not, being used in the closing role. But to have a guy with that sort of experience as a closer, being able to use him in, what innings did he throw tonight? He threw in the seventh tonight. So you got a guy that with closing experience, you can throw in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning. That's huge for the Astros. Not that they need it, but it's just another weapon at their disposal.
Yeah, it's their depth. And then you look at we'll just poke at the Yankees because that's who they're playing, where it's a huge deal that Scott Effross isn't available for this series. I mean, listen, I like Scott Effross. He's an Indiana guy. He's a quality rookie for the Cubs this year. There were times I was talking and writing about Scott Effross with a lot of promise because to me it was like, oh, this is a great developmental guy. The Cubs haven't really brought up bullpen pieces from, maybe this is a spark and it's a good sign and all. And then, whatever, they trade him to the Yankees. Good trade. Now we're getting down a rabbit hole, but to me, like Scott Effross was like a surprise story for me as a diehard Cub guy to be like, oh wow, this is great for him to kind of be an effective guy we could build around in a bullpen, not as a closer or anything, just as like an effective, quality late inning guy. And the fact that the Yankees are in an ALCS with Aaron Judge in their lineup and Rizzo and Giancarlo Stanton, who by the way is such an underrated postseason player, and so many names that are on that Yankee team and just all the pressure and the way that fucking brand works. And it's like, oh, by the way, Scott Effross is hurt and it's fucking everybody's hitting the alarm. I'm like, wait a second. Scott Effross was a guy in June that we were sitting around being like, wait, that's a guy from Indiana? Good for him. He changed his delivery during COVID. And I keep coming back to the COVID thing, which I just can't. It's just a thing I'm interested in, players that mastered their craft time away from the organizations, and he's another one of those guys. And so now we talk about Maris, and I'm sure there's guys, I'm sure the Yankees would kill to have him there right now, being able to rely on a guy with his stuff. Even if he's, dude, his strikeout per 9 totals are ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, you just go down the list, and the Astros just they put guys in positions to succeed, and they help them get on track. We already talked about him, but Rafael Montero is a great example. I think he had an ERA around 7 in Seattle, and now he's pitching in close games in the ALCS for the Houston Astros. No surprise. But look, and here we didn't talk about it. I mean, I was watching. I kind of jumped on the game a little bit late because I was still trying to finish up San Diego Phillies, but I had to rewatch it. The game could have got out of hand for the Yankees much quicker and maybe led to that 10-run deficit like you're talking about. But if Judge doesn't make that diving catch in the gap from Bregman, I mean, that game, I think there was one out at the time. It's 2-0 with he's probably on third base. So you got a 2-0 deficit, guy on third, 1 out. That could lead to 3-4, who knows how many runs that inning. So huge play from Judge, to keep it where it was at that point.
I have a theory about the Houston Astros success. But this theory, I gotta stop here for a second because this theory is presented by a good friend of ours. Now, a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. More athletes are speaking out about the importance of mental health, but you don't have to be a pro to want to be at the top of your game. Everyone needs to take care of their mental well-being, whether you're an athlete or not. Therapy is the best way to stay in peak mental shape. This is where I would like to drop the theory here about the Houston Astros. There has to be something with like the mental health aspect or the mental preparation that the Houston Astros have incorporated into this organization top bottom. There has to be something about going there where you think about these competitive advantages. Like athletically to me, I don't know. Everybody throws hard. Everybody's got nasty stuff. What allows you to hone in to get into a flow state, so to say, to feel as good as you possibly can when you get on the mound or in the batter's box or out into the field to make plays? You are like dialed in. You're ready to go. But to me, that could be a difference maker. Maybe not. I'm not sure. We're going to get back to this take, but this take was brought to you by BetterHelp. If you're thinking about giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. Tons of mental. Look, take it from me. I'm a branded lunatic, and I have had a tremendous amount of success working in therapy, and it's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey and switch therapists anytime. When you're ready to feel at the top of your mental health game, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/starting today to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/starting. Betterhelp.com/starting. To get 10% off your first month. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. Why not? Why not? Especially this time of year. It's getting cold. Some people are going to be a little bummed out. Just the way it is, man. BetterHelp.com/starting. What do you think about that mental health thing with the Astros? What's going on in these players' brains? They have to be like, I'm not saying fuck the cheating scandal. I'm not even talking about that stuff. They bounce back from that. They're under the microscope. I could care less. At this point, some of these guys are so far removed. Jordan Alvarez ain't cheating. But they know what's going on, man. What is going on?
I'm not sure. And I don't think they want anybody else to find out. I mean, look, there's other people out there that can do it, but the combination of everybody that they have there, just the equation that they've built, they should win a Nobel Prize for it because it continues to produce. I don't know how many divisions or ALCS appearances this is for them in the past decade, but it seems like 10.
It's 6 in a row, which is an American League record, I believe. I think that Braves have a record with 8.
Is that 6 divisions and CS appearances?
It's CS. Playing for the pennant. So their record 6 times in a row in the American League. I think the Braves have the record 8 times in the National League, which would have been during their run where they won 13 straight division championships. I mean, we're not getting into that, but I just have to make that sound one more time.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean,
do we have predictions for the rest of the series? Can we just package this up? Astros, Yankees. I thought the game 1 was very predictable. The Astros would be in control. They would win it decisively, whether that was a huge spread or not. It's impossible to ask the Yankees to make all that stuff that's going on. That's a very tough circumstance for them coming in there today. And so, could they steal one? Yes, absolutely. No lineup to me
could
would
they
be more
steal
capable.
One? You're saying in the entire series or to win
game 2? Yeah. Can they go back to New York even?
They can. I mean, I don't think they're going to have Severino out there. He's going to be matched up against Valdez. It's just tough.
What do you think about Valdez against that lineup?
I think it's a beautiful thing. I think a heavy sinker plays against any lineup, especially a left-handed one, because there's not a lot of those guys in baseball. There's not a lot of left-handed starters that possess that sort of velocity and that sort of movement on a sinking fastball, like Framber has from the left side. You see it; it's more common out of the bullpen. So. I think it's a really good matchup. I think it's unfortunate for the Yankees that they don't get to hand the ball to Garrett Cole for 2 starts in this series. I don't think Taillon didn't pitch. He didn't pitch poorly. He didn't have any strikeouts. So I mean, he wasn't overpowering. I think that in the third time through the order, I think against Taillon the average is up around 300 or so. It was definitely time to get him out of that game. But like I said before, the catch from Stanton kept him in it. The huge double play that Clark Schmidt got with Kyle Tucker at the plate. A lot of things could have happened a lot worse and gone a lot worse for the Yankees. And to be in a position where you're down 2, considering the circumstances, I think that the Yankees weren't. They're upset that they lost the game, but they know that it could have gotten away from them a lot more than it did.
I think they're in trouble. Game 2, they've only seen Valdez 3 times.
I think
they've had some
trouble.
Success against him.
Yeah, I think they're in trouble.
A ton
period.
of guys, but that's just okay.
I think just having to play the Astros, they're in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, we might be getting to the point where I shouldn't say we might. We're absolutely at the point now at the Astros where like Alabama football, Houston Astros. Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, it's not a stretch at all.
That's a joke.
It's not a stretch at all. And would you call? And I this might be a stupid question. No. And people will chime in. Is a dynasty only a dynasty if like there are championships? There are 3 or 4 championships in a row, or like would you consider Alabama a dynasty? Is Houston like in the conversation just with how dominant they are, or like the Dodgers, or no? I mean, I guess you can't because they don't have all those championships. But when you just look at the dominance, and it's so hard to. I don't think anybody's really. We're not going to see anybody win 3 or 4 World Series.
No, we just did.
Row.
We did. There's a mini dynasty. I have a couple dynasties.
The
off
Giants.
The top of my head. Yeah, yeah, dude.
Yeah, what they have? They had 3 and 5 years.
Just a gorgeous setup baseball team. I mean,
is that what it was? Was it 3 and 5?
Yes, and it started with Matt Cain coming in and the Barry Zito signing didn't work out the way they wanted to. Tough luck. Here comes Tim Lincecum out of Washington.
Oh, God, I wish he would have played for another 5 years. Where is he, by the way?
We got to talk to Timmy. We got to go play golf.
I would love – man, I'm such a
great golf story about Tim Lincecum.
Does he play golf?
I don't know if this is true or not. I was at an airport with a guy who was playing double. I'll name drop him. I don't care. He talked a lot about his career. He's a AA guy, AAA guy with the Red Sox named JT Zink, who's a reliever from San Diego State who played for Tony Gwynn. And we're hanging out at this airport bar, having a couple cocktails. Turn out we're getting on the same flight. It's Southwest. He's like, yo, dude, you want to just sit in the back, keep talking baseball? I'm like, absolutely. We sit in the back, get hammered. And I had just walked on the Illinois team, so we're like talking. It was like the year after that summer I'm going to a wedding. So we're just talking, and he was like, yeah, I grew up with Tim Lincecum. And so I'm like fascinated with Tim Lincecum. Tell me everything you know about Timmy Lincecum, right? Like all this stuff. And of everything he told me that stands out now, this is 14 years later, 15 years later. Tim Lincecum was in high school that wanted to like just fuck around and play golf with his buddies, had never played golf like once before the practice round, like went to the range, like just borrowed clubs, like had no clue what he was doing, and shot like 77 his first time on the course. Now, I don't know how to verify this or not. This
beginner's luck in golf usually
think about
doesn't
this
happen.
For a second, though. If you want to believe this or not, I think that's like I think you have to be like a hockey player to do that. I don't even know if anybody can do that.
Maybe he was pencil whipping a little bit. I don't know. A couple mulligans here and there, breakfast balls. I don't know, but maybe that's true. It seems unlikely.
There's better
That's
Tim
not
Lincecum
really
stories.
Golf isn't really
to our audience.
No, that's okay. But I don't think golf is a game and you can pick up clubs and be like, oh, what is this? Oh, okay, this is how you play, and you shoot in the 70s. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. Timmy,
maybe he did it. We'll find out.
He was a guy who had engineered his mechanics. He had engineered. I thought he was like had a dad thing
with his dad.
Like,
his dad had him pick up like $1 bill. He put $1 bill like out like down the slope, and would emphasize like trying to pick that up on your finish.
So every time, his dad just be peeling off like he's at 11, and they just wheeled out a fucking barrel of cash.
I don't think they would. I think they just use
Daddy's just sitting in the lawn chair,
same
just
dollar
peeling
bill.
off singles.
And I think the bill got larger as his career progressed.
Wow.
You know,
one of the coolest guys in my lifetime playing baseball, I think. And I don't know shit about this guy. He could be a total loser. And I don't think he is.
There was kind of a crazy story, and I don't remember all the details, but like how he like got popped for like smoking weed and like had to take drug tests like randomly like throughout the season because they were worried about like his usage or some shit like that. Maybe he made comments about it openly, and he was getting tested like every other day or a couple times a week or something stupid. But he enjoys flower, so
hey, nothing wrong with a Cali bro smoking some weed. No. And is he Cali bro? Yeah, he's Cali.
Yeah.
All right, let's stay on the West Coast.
I don't know if he's from California.
Huskies. You know what? Fuck it. We're here. Huskies. Great Huskies. Mark Brunell, Tuiasa Sopo, not Jake Locker. Colin, feel free to throw in any great Washington Huskies you can think of right now.
I know none.
Really?
No, I'm not good at that. I don't have that sort of brain. I don't.
All right, we don't have to do
remember.
that.
Let's not do that.
Listen,
we got to talk.
How about
Phillies.
you do this? How about this? You worry about this shit. You worry about the Phillies. I'll worry about Washington.
That's where my head's at. Stuff. My head's deep into both of these series. I'm trying to get to Game 5, which would be Sunday. I would like to get there, but I don't want to.
What does that mean?
Well, I'd like to go see Philly San Diego play Game 5. If there is a Game 5.
There is a Game 5.
Well, yeah, of course there is. My math is off, but I would like to go.
You want me to call game time?
I was just going to call the players.
Colin, are you keeping track of some of like the great big league moments on this podcast?
I'm listening.
Okay, well, that's one of the great big league moments of this podcast.
I mean, do you think I lost their numbers?
No, I just all right.
I get it.
No, we're here.
Where's your head at? Talk. Give me your initial impressions of Game 2 of the NLCS.
I mean, these Padres are just a resilient crew, and I was very interested going into the postseason about how they would come out against the Mets and Bob Melvin. And is this guy like a wet blanket? Like 10-17 going into this postseason, had some good Oakland pitching staffs, was there for like a decade, and never really made moves. And the Tatis stuff, and it's just like it would be so easy for the Padres to just like pack their shit up when Hader had like a infinity ERA and Juan Soto was hitting 245 and just be like, you know what, we're just kind of average. And then
when he was like 3 for 50 or 3 for something crazy, he was hitting 83. You're like, this team's done.
And I know I can be like dramatic about the fucking parts of baseball that I like and I love, and I think this is really cool. But like, you take all this stuff that's been going on with the Padres, and then you mix in these stories like Trent Grisham hits 184 and then just shows up against a Mets and fucking does his thing. Or like Kim at shortstop puts up one of the best seasons of like in the middle infield, and no one wants it. But we're just sitting around talking about Tatis, and like no one's talking about Ha-Seong Kim. And I don't even know if I just said his fucking name right, and that's like disrespectful guys. He's a 5.6 WAR, and so who even cares about his WAR? He's just fucking good.
Imagine if the Padres happen to win the World Series. How does Tatis feel about receiving his ring?
He's got to donate it to charity or some shit.
This is weird. What? No, I mean, he's a part of the team. That's just kind of a weird one. If I was in that situation, I'd be like, thank you, I guess.
Dude, he's just been. It. It's one of those situations where I honestly think these guys came together in spite of a lot of this distraction. Like, they're in the middle of getting their shit pushed in by the Dodgers, and AJ Preller's doing a press conference in the dugout talking about like talking about Tatis's character, and like
I didn't see that.
If you're in like after he popped for steroids and he's sitting there next to him and being like, well, here's the situation, all stuff. Now, if you're Jake Cronenworth and you're a 2-time All-Star and you're like grinding your ass off and being like, dude, I'm fucking pissed he's not there. Now, I know these guys aren't going to say that shit. No one's probably even saying that shit to each other. But you fucking better believe that they're walking around with a little chip being like, come on, dude, like, we got a thing going. And so all of this, to me, all of this packaged up. And there they are against Aaron Nola. Fucking already gave up 4 runs today at home. Lost last night. Tough bounce back day game. NLCS. Why are they playing an NLCS day game? They got shadows coming in. They're fucking talking about shadow games. We had a shadow game in the NLCS. This is crazy to me. And the Padres do what? They fucking hang a 5 spot. They come out and they hang a 5 spot on Aaron Nola. Now, I know that's your guy, and I think Aaron Nola does everything right, and he is just the absolute guy you want to go in a battle with. You're going to lose with a guy like Aaron Nola. And the Padres hang 5 on him. And it's like,
well, they're both,
at what point can anybody count them out? You just can't. The Padres are just team of
both of them are my guys. I love Snell, too. And to kind of watch what happened in that second inning, it was kind of bizarre. So it started out, it was... what was it, like Harper single, Castellanos single, Bohms single, first run scores. Bohms was not a hard hit ball, like just all singles. And then Drury can't handle, or no, what happened first? It was Vierling hits a ball like right into the sun. Right in, I mean, it couldn't have been a worse time for like certain balls to be hit to certain guys. It was just like, oh fuck, like this just looks like, okay, Philly's going to win this game. Like nothing's going right for the Padres. Phillies are probably going to win this game like 8-3. But then, that happens and people were probably furious at Soto. And dude, he's got sunglasses on. He's trying to shade it. It was probably like it was just an eclipse with the goddamn baseball, like in the sun. Like it couldn't have been hit more perfectly at that angle where the sun was positioned that time in the day. What are you going to do? I mean, it's happened before. He did everything he could. You just literally could not see where the baseball was. It was in the middle of the sun. So then, Sosa has a broken bat, knock that was kind of disguised as a ball that was hit harder than it was. It lands at Profar's feet. That's the third run. Then Drury can't handle a ball that's literally hit right into his fucking glove. Can't get the double play, so the fourth run scores. And I'm sure as a Padres fan, they're like, when is this shit going to end? But then in the bottom of the second, you get 2 big home runs. You get a Drury home run. He kind of picks up, makes up for that, miscue at first. And a lot of people say, well, it was a laser hit right at him. It's a tough play. Sure, but the ball was in his glove. I understand it was a hard hit ball. That double play needs to be turned in that situation. But hits a big home run in the bottom of the second. Bell does the same thing, leans back on one. And then, hey, the lead's cut in half. Lead's cut in half. Zeros are thrown up until the inning you were just talking about in the bottom of the fifth where it got away from him. Got away from Aaron Nola and the Phillies. I think the biggest mistake in that entire inning was when Brad Hand hit Jake Cronenworth in a 2-strike count with a slider. That just, after that point, it just kind of fucked everything up. He had to face Drury, who singled to center field, scored 2 runs, and then it just kind of went downhill from there.
Well, it's even at 1. They have an off day traveling. The time we're recording this, they're both on planes, or they should be. I shouldn't say they're both on planes. They should be sleeping in the hotel when this gets released, and they'll be. I would imagine they're going to Citizens Bank for a workout, or what does that look like?
So they're off. They're off tomorrow.
Thursday playing Friday.
What they'll do, what I assume that they'll do is have like a late, maybe an early afternoon workout at the bank. Guys will move around a little bit. I'm sure there's a handful of dudes that want to get off the mound, want to see a live arm. Guys will work out, and they'll do some recovery, some rehab, some prehab, whatever it is in the training room, get your shoulder work in, and then go have a nice dinner, probably as a team. I would assume that some guys will go to Double Knot or El Vez is a beautiful restaurant down there. There's some good food in Philly. But, man, I mean, the bank is going to be absolutely rocking on Friday.
Yeah.
They're absolutely rocking.
I cannot wait to see the way the fan base interacts with Joe Musgrove. There's going to be a ton of shit talking to him, obviously. I think he's a guy who can rise to the occasion, obviously, what he's shown already. But they're just going to feed off of that controversy that's already just lingering out there. So it's just going to be more explosive. One thing. The other thing, I don't think at any point during the season, even before the playoffs, if you told me Ranger Suarez and Joe Musgrove were squaring off in the NLCS, Game 3, 1-1, under the lights, Philly on a Friday night, like, I would have been like, I don't know if that really moves the needle. And now that we're in the playoffs, I don't know if I want to see a pitching matchup more. Like, when we talked to Girardi and he was saying about how Rangers turned into the starter that he is and from the reliever, and how it's like, dude, this guy has evolved into a straight-up number one, wants to ball all the time. Now, whether he is or isn't, I don't care. I don't want to hear anything about Fangraphs and all this bullshit. That dude takes the mound, and he feels that way about himself, and he's pitching like that, and he's been pitching like that. And then you have, obviously, Joe coming in here. Bro, 1-1, Philly. It's going to be buzzing. It's electric. You did this shit at Citi Field. Like, this is
he's the kind of guy that feeds off it. Musgrove is a guy that will absolutely feed off. Remember how I told you certain players are actually fueled in a positive way, like energized by the opposing crowd? That's the kind of guy that Musgrove is. He's gonna feed off that shit. He's gonna be probably juiced up, throwing as hard as he's thrown all season. He might have some antics out there, kind of, like wiping the lip and slinging it. The old Sanchez at the crowd. That's the kind of guy he is. He's not gonna be phased. However loud the bank can possibly get, and it's gonna be very, very loud. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna thrive in that situation. And I'm glad you brought up Girardi, because he talked about how even keel and calm not only Ranger Suarez is, but Nola and Wheeler. It's like that mentality and that mindset is just bred across that starting rotation. So you're right. It's a very intriguing matchup. And I don't think that before the playoffs, many people be like, oh, that's a matchup like we can't wait to see. But it is. It really is.
Bryce Harper, Smitty said it, doesn't get enough credit, was going around today on the internet, underrated, overrated. I don't know. It's just, it's got to be so sweet for Philly fans.
He's properly rated, I believe.
Yeah. Just a great cast of characters on the Phillies to get behind. Whereas when I was talking about the Padres, you said, as I see the Padres kind of coming in and out of this, what do I really think about them? And there's these distractions and then these players that have quietly done their jobs and have performed well enough, and then get them to October, and then they kind of flip this gear a little bit. The Phillies to me are, you couldn't, if we had all access to every team, I think the Phillies would be one of the fucking best reality television shows. Just the way these guys, like Jean Segura at second base, the passion that dude has for baseball. Bryson Stott, no way that dude woke up on April 3rd or whatever opening day was this year and was like, yeah, I'm the starting. I mean, maybe he did or didn't. I know a lot of people didn't. Alec Boehm early in the season, I fucking hate this place. Rhys Hoskin, like I said, it felt like he came up yesterday. Kyle Schwarber, just 2 years ago, the Cubs were like, we don't have $8 million for Kyle Schwarber, and he hits a 488-foot home run. Oh, and he just does it time and again. It's like no one's surprised.
And I sent you that graphic. right?
That, I think,
some guy
yeah,
posted?
I think that was I think someone was trolling. I think somebody was.
Yeah, that's a Mets guy. I follow his account. He's a troll.
Oh,
but it's funny.
Well, a buddy of mine sent it to me. I didn't even necessarily look at it. I don't know fucking shit about anything. But I did think it was funny. It would have gotten close, maybe.
I mean, the fact that you control people on it is insane. The fact that you could, it's like, yeah, of course, I believe. I was like looking, I'm like, wait, actually, I do think I had to go to Alan Nathan's page, a professor.
Oh, so you actually did research. I did, and I was just like, yep.
Well, no, because when you said it, I was like, holy fuck, that's insane. There's a side story I'll tell in another podcast about Nathan.
I mean, what an idiot I am now that we're talking about it. Of course, it wouldn't have gone out twice.
But the fact that we had, I mean, bro, this is another night in a row. Shout out Colin, just grinding it late night.
That's
sitting up, having a little coffee this morning, and here come the text messages are flowing around about the night before. The momentum's here, guys. It's fucking October baseball. That's the takeaway, Jake. You know,
that's the takeaway, and I'm just sitting here rehashing the game a little bit, and just I wanted to give Machado some love.
Yes, please.
And just the homer he hit in the bottom of the 7th, just a fucking laser. And then he comes out in the top of the 8th. First pitch, Suarez throws, Hoskins hits an absolute tank. And then JT hits a single. But what happens right after that? Machado makes an unbelievable play to his left. I believe it was to his left. I don't think it was right at him. And then his throws on his double plays are just always the guy straddling second base, the second baseman, and it's right in the middle of his chest. Like if you're a coach and you want to show a kid how to make throws to second base on double plays, just get some B-roll going of Machado. Like it's so pretty. Like it's just amazing. And that double play was kind of a dagger for the Phillies, and then Suarez struck out Castellanos. Yeah, it's a pleasure to watch superstars perform on this type of stage, and seeing the Padres have a guy like Machado, Phillies have a guy like Harper, and it's not just the two of them, but to have them and then the supporting cast around them to continue to come through, it's so much fun to see, man. So much fun to see.
Yeah, a lot of these unsung or kind of lesser-known veteran relievers. Nick Martinez is the guy who came up on the stream. Look at this fucking guy. Oh, no. He went to Japan, worked on his shit, came back.
For 4 years, man.
Yeah,
for 4 years, and then signed a multi-year deal with the Padres. Started for him for a while. And he's got, I mean, if you saw like a still frame of his changeup grip, it's very unique. And on the broadcast, they were talking about how he like enrolled in some online classes, like TrackMan and Rapsodo stuff to like increase his knowledge and understanding of his pitch axis and how to spin the ball and how to work his grips. Like, a lot of people don't love the advanced analytics, but that's a perfect example of why you need to take a closer look at some of these things, because it helped change his career. The trajectory of his career was directly correlated by the information he was receiving from, all these different sources. So, got to give him a lot of credit for not just saying, I'm struggling, I'm not having success. I've tried to make adjustments, like, hey, maybe I'll play in Japan and then I'll retire. No, like he went 1 or 2 or 3 steps further and developed himself on an entirely different level, and now he's a huge weapon for the Padres to have, whether that's as like a long relief guy, maybe you can use him as an opener or some shit like that, or later innings in the game. And his changeup's nasty, and he's got a really good curveball too. So while I wasn't very, very tight pants, he's got a nice setup. Look, it looks like he's in great shape. But they talked about him being more of an athlete on the mound and not robotic, and that is a huge deal. Like you don't want to be like step 1, step 2, step 3. I need to have my hand here, my arm here. Like, you need to move fluidly. You need to move athletically. But if you combine that with the understanding of, like the physics of baseball and release point and pitch grips, you can do some pretty special things. So that's a prime example of why you should, take the time to dive into the numbers at least a little bit.
I have a note on Machado, and I have a note on Citizens Bank Ballpark. I will let you pick which one goes first.
Let's do Citizens first.
All right. Now, in any baseball player's career, any player's career, I sincerely believe this. Anybody who walks around, they're like, I was a baseball player. Now, if you hung it up in high school, college, D3, JUCO, pro ball, at any level, you will look back in your career and you'll be like, remember that one fucking game when, like, they just showed up. It could have been like regional, high school, junior year, and like 1,000, like whatever the scene, the moment, the environment that sticks out to you. It could be like a little league championship game, and you were like, dude, there were all these people, and the stands were filled up, and then, or if you were in college and you're like, dude, there's just that one team in conference, or you played at a tournament. Or in my case, I remember when we went to LSU, I couldn't believe that there were like 15,000 people. And there was one game we hosted at home and there were like 6,000 people. And the feeling that when you walked out of the clubhouse or you were coming out of the dugout and it like takes your breath away. Now, I know in college that that's an easier thing to achieve because it's just like, wow, so many different venues. But man, the big leagues, right? 162 games, fucking takes so much to get there. These guys just fucking... the whole life, the whole build-up, and then to get there and then have the success, to have to tune out a lot of this environment and to have to be, like, able to lock in and be like, yeah, whatever, of course the crowd's big. Of course, we're playing at Yankee Stadium. That's just the way the crowds are. And then I just know fucking, however many, 50, 20, 52 guys, the coaching staff, every single guy wearing a uniform tomorrow, Citizens Bank Park, at 7:37 by first pitch is going to be in the dugout or on the field with fucking chills because they're going to be looking at each other and being like, this is what it's all about. This is it. Like, this atmosphere, these people on their feet, every pitch fucking matters. And we put ourselves in this position. And, like, once you get to that level, I have to only imagine that, like, when you show up to a regular season game, you just, like, it has to be such a completely different experience and emotion. And these guys are so fucking lucky as baseball players to be able to go out there and be a part of that, like, atmosphere and environment and energy. And, like, of course, as fans, I'm gonna soak this shit up. I don't give I'm gonna love it just as much as I could because, like, it's playoff baseball, 1-1, everything on the line. And there's just something about the environment. Now I'm getting really long-winded because the second note I have about Machado is way short, but this is, like, it's just so sick. Like, these guys, there's got to be guys that are like, whatever, dude, fucking another spring training. But then they're going to get on the dugout. They're going to be in the dugout tomorrow, and no one's going to give a fuck about how much their back hurts. They're not going to care about, like, how hard spring training was, who got called up, what went down, who blew a save when. Everybody's just going to forget about their bullshit, and for like 3.5 hours, everyone's going to do everything they fucking can to win a baseball game. And anybody there in that stadium is going to be loving the shit out of it. And that's my long-winded thing about Citizens.
No, I love that. I love that, and it was very passionate, very emotional. I think there could be a couple guys on the rail during the first game, game 3 at the bank where they just look at each other and say, man, you remember like how things were going in July, and now we're here. Now we're here playing game 3 of the championship series against the Padres. Like that, look how far we've come. And that'll give you goosebumps too. Absolutely will. And from this point on, all these players that have never played in a postseason before, the very first game of the season next year, they'll understand why it's so important to take every game as serious as humanly possible. I think that's just, things will never be the same for these guys. Anybody who has never played in the postseason, now they have the opportunity to see what it's like to perform and to play in October when 98% of the teams or 95% of the teams are at home or on vacation, having fucking Mai Tais and eating breakfast tacos with their family and enjoying it. But they're not playing under the lights in October. And you won't want to go home at the end of September ever again. You'll want to be in the postseason every single year of your career. So very, very, very cool shit. And what you said is very true.
You bring up breakfast tacos. It's important to remind everybody that HelloFresh is a great partner. Starting 9, subscribe to HelloFresh and check save money off your fall to-do list. HelloFresh is 25% cheaper than takeout and less expensive than grocery shopping too. With HelloFresh, ingredients travel from farm to your doorstep in less than 7 days, so you know they're fresh. Plus, pre-portioned ingredients make cooking a snap and cut down on food waste. They're offering vegan recipes on the menu every week for vegan options. They're made without animal products of any kind, like dairy, meat, eggs, or honey. That's the vegan options. Sweet chili tofu bowls, like those. Changing seasons, though, changing tastes. And with 30-plus weekly recipes to choose from, HelloFresh is something for everyone. Easily customize your meals by swapping proteins or sides, upgrading to choice proteins, or adding protein to a veggie meal. This is the point where it just says, just talk about how much you like it. We love HelloFresh. It's easy when we bake that in. Everybody knows we love HelloFresh. What do you want? Like, we'll just pick this angle. It's so you're stressed, work, can't go grocery shopping, Potbelly again. I'm sorry, I don't want to throw them under the bus. Taco Bell, whatever it is. Another thing, one thing after the other, and you're just like, when am I going to take the time to plan and get the right meals for my body, take care of myself? HelloFresh is there for you guys.
They've been there for me, and it's also given me an opportunity to let the kids cook with me a little bit. It's been fun for them. Probably the best thing about it. Not only does the food taste very good, but you don't have to measure out the spices, the seasonings. Like, okay, it's a half teaspoon of this or a tablespoon of that. Nope, it's in the packages, all ready for you. All you got to do, you follow the steps. You shouldn't be able to screw it up. My wife doesn't cook a lot. She doesn't like when I talk about her cooking, but she can't mess this up. You can't mess up HelloFresh. We've been having them for a while. A big fan of it, and I was never a huge fan of the pre-packaged meals that was already made completely for you. Just heat it up. I like having to actually halfway cook it. It makes you feel like you're doing it all yourself. And all the meals we've had are phenomenal. And I'm very grateful that they're a partner with us. And I'm going to be eating them for a long time.
HelloFresh.com/starting65. I should open this and use code starting65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's starting65 at HelloFresh.com. Starting65. I know the amount of people that listen to this show. The amount of value we just created with people for 65% off is I should get a call from Janet Yellen at the Federal Reserve. Carl, just want to thank you for the economic boom you just created. 65% off. HelloFresh.com/starting65. Would you like to come and speak at this Swiss finance conference? I would say no, Janet. I'm apolitical. I got nothing to say to the Swiss. I do have to say this about Manny Machado, though. This is the easiest note. First, third, fifth, seventh inning. Okay, he hit in the ninth or hit in the eighth. But 4 plate appearances, 1, 3, 5, 7. First inning smokes a double. 7th inning crushes a home run. Strikes out in the 3rd and the 5th. You just looked at the box score. If you watch that fucking game, he hit 3 bombs tonight. I mean, he's off by millimeters. Down left field line in the 3rd inning. Just cranked it. Last second, yank. And then in the next plate appearance, smokes it down the right field line. He played phenomenally anyways, but just watching the game and being in a situation where they're down 1-0, down 4-2 in the game, chase. Yeah, he showed up in all the shit. He almost showed up in a fucking epically historic way by, if you're watching this on YouTube, my fingers are very close together to represent just so fucking, we're so close to talking about Manny Machado having a 3-home-run game and putting the team on his back, even though he did kind of put the team on his back. and I wanted to call that out. Manny Machado looked phenomenal. And he had the one time where he tried to call timeout. What do you think of that?
He got heated there. Well, it was close. I mean, you remember Game 5. It was Game 4 when Garrett Cole was pitching against the Guardians. When the lefty tried to get time, it was the rookie left-handed hitter. He put it up too late, and then he put his left hand back on the bat and swung through that fastball for a strikeout. So you got to give a little leeway to the umpires, because the umpires dialed in on what's like directly in front of him on the pitcher. Maybe he sees the catcher a little bit. Maybe he didn't see the hand, because I don't think that he blatantly disregarded the time call. I just think that from the moment he called time to when the pitcher lifts his leg, I mean, there's not much of a gap there. So,
and Nola works quick.
Yeah, he works quick, and it's a difficult situation where it could go either way. You've seen umpires call it off and kind of move from out from behind the home plate and give time. And you also see times, like I just mentioned, Guardians, Yankees, where time wasn't given. So it's one of those things that could go either way. But he wasn't very happy about it. Initially, I didn't know what he was upset about. But then come to find out, it was he didn't get the time call. So no, I mean, it's something that happens pretty often.
I want to call attention to how big league it was, how he handled it. Because he was hot, and it just like there was something about how smooth he was in the umpire's face. He patted the umpire on the fucking chest protector with it.
4 or 5 years ago, he probably gets thrown out of that game.
Thank you. Because the guy that I saw, and that when they cut to the replay and they show the hand go up, I get it. The umpire is locked in. Aaron Nola works quick, all that shit. You know, if you're Manny Machado, you're like, dude, I'm Manny Machado at home in the NLCS. Do you guys mind for a second? Like, I know it could be late. That's probably how you would think if you were Manny Machado. Like, come on, guys. Like, cut me some slack here. And to your point, yeah, he could have gotten tossed. It's the complete opposite. The guy that was in the umpire's kitchen, I was mesmerized. And I say mesmerized never. I don't even know where the fuck that word came from. It means something. I was mesmerized with how smooth and in control his argument was and how much like respect and like the presence he had. It wasn't even mic'd up. You could just sense. It was like, this guy got it.
Yeah, he handled it well. The umpire handled it well. Right after, you know, you could see he was visibly upset, but then he calmed down quick. And, you know, I think he said, my bad to the umpire. And the umpire understood his frustration, especially at that moment in the game. You know, every at-bat's a huge situation, regardless of the score, because, you know, as we've seen with certain outbursts, you know, you've seen a 4-run inning, you've seen a 5-run inning. A rally can start from anywhere. So, yeah, it was handled well from both sides. The umpire allowed him to kind of voice his frustration, and then, you know, they went their separate ways. And you saw like the third base coach kind of running there quickly. I think Bob Melvin might have been in there quick too, but then they both realized that, you know, it wasn't escalating to anything more than just a simple, you know, brief disagreement.
That was the last thing I wanted to say about the this moment in Manny Machado. And again, I know this is like one of those small things where it's like, hey, I'm making a big deal about it. Maybe I am. Maybe I don't think I am, though. I think it's like we've talked about Manny Machado. I loved what you said about when they beat the Dodgers, who would be the guy in the bus holding the court, doing karaoke, making the guys get Manny Machado. And I was wrong, and I've said this before. I know so many people nationally that like baseball have historically seen Manny Machado as, you know, just like a prick, as a guy who's whatever. Not a prick, just a guy who's like, yeah, whatever. This guy's, you know, it's Showtime and Hollywood and whatever. Not the case. Not the case. And so the point I bring up about getting picked, the funny thing about seeing Melvin run out like that, I'd be fucking hauling ass out there too if I was Bob Melvin, because their backup third baseman and shortstop and second baseman and all that shit is Brandon Drury, and he was playing first base. If Manny Machado gets booted because he slams a helmet or something, and the umpire's like, I have to because that's in our rules. You slam shit, you go. And then they're like, all right, Brandon Drury, you go to fucking third base. And then does he – and
Josh
then they
Bell
lose the
goes
DH,
to
and now they're I don't even want to – if you're Bob Melvin, you just see Manny Machado even remotely upset, and you just run up to the umpire and you're like, I'll punch you in the face before you fucking throw him out. If I'm Bob Melvin, I'd do that, yeah.
Yeah, it could have gotten weird, but credit to Machado for not allowing it to get further than it did. He remains in the game. They shut shit down, win the game.
What else we got? I feel like we've done a very thorough job.
That's a phenomenal show. It was thorough. I mean, we stay up late. We crank shit out. Good day of baseball, man.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know how to tell you that. Like, kind of starting around this week, that like the shows would be late after these games, and dude, it's actually been delightful.
It's good for us. And
I thank the audience that's showing up, and especially on the streams and participating in the conversation we're trying to really drive here in October. These streams are awesome, dude. I'm sitting here like when you and Shane Green were talking about the cutter stuff, and like, yeah, obviously I like hearing that from learning about the baseball perspective, but I know where I'm coming from as a fan. I know where Smitty was coming from as a fan. I know where the chat's coming from. And there's just shit where I'm watching a game repeatedly where I'm like, man, I wonder what was that? Or what's that pitch? And it's interesting to see how quick you guys are like, well, he's fucking throwing a changeup here, or that's what the split looks like. If you haven't checked out these streams, I swear on my life, give us an inning. Give me fucking 3 outs with you. And I don't even know the numbers, man. I don't care. Show up. This is the best baseball product I think I've been a part of. It's fucking sick.
Come hang out with us. Yeah, it's fun shit. Well, and when you talk about recognizing that sort of stuff, it all comes from the understanding of how to set up a hitter against his tendencies and your strengths, and working off different lanes, and the action of your pitches and what they'll chase, when in the count. Yeah, there's a lot going on there, and Soto had one of the best at bats I've seen him have after having one of the worst I've seen him have against Wheeler. The at bat against Nola when he had the game tying RBI knock or double. Nola starts off with a changeup, a beautiful changeup, right at the bottom of the strike zone, middle of the plate, down, takes right. Second pitch, he goes backdoor curveball that he swings over the top of a curveball. 0-2. What would I do in this situation? Buzz something at his hands, preferably slightly off the plate. Nola throws a really, really nice pitch, maybe a little bit. I mean, it wasn't over the plate at all. It was like maybe a ball in off the plate with a good height to it. And what does Soto do? He turns on it down the line for a double. So sometimes you have the best combination or the best sequence that you could come up with in a situation, and you get beat by just an elite hitter. So I was kind of thinking along with Nola. I'm like, all right, well, beautiful changeup, great backdoor curveball. Now we need some at the hands. Executed his pitch very well. Just got beat in that situation. So yeah, I mean it's fun to kind of real time talk about how we would go through our process and why guys did certain things, and I think the listeners would enjoy to hear that.
Yeah, the dialogue in the chat and trying to get like, that's something again, all this stuff like the podcast and the shows, and not to be whatever, like working with Barstool for years and putting shows together and packaging up, fucking, check us out on Tuesday morning and Thursday morning and the draft on Mondays, and we do the serious whatever, the programming, the traditional programming and stuff. And so this is where I'm trying to come from, because I know I got my boys here that have been following me for fucking 10 years, been doing baseball stuff for Barstool, and I know I've got a ton of guys that have been with me that have been following me since day one, all this stuff, and I'm like on the fucking Bible, like these baseball streams are just like the best content I've been a part of because of like what we're talking about, just like the balance of I don't know so much of this shit, but at the same time, then I'll say stuff, and you get from the fan side, we just start talking about the fans and having Smitty and that stuff. We'll grow that as the series gets going, and as the playoff baseball gets going. And this is as we're wrapping up probably the most passionate like episode I've put together. I'm pretty comfortable talking about this stuff and letting it fly because this is just like the time of the year. Like if I was a fucking, let's see, pick out an animal, a mammal, wild mammal. If I was a Cape Buffalo, like this is mating season for me. I'm all horned up. I'm fucking laid on me.
I like that. Yeah, you're walking around just
fucking
fairly stiff all day. It's what you do.
It's been a delight, man. It's been a delight. There was nothing. I went through the list. No, I shout out to Aaron Nola and Austin Nola's dad, who had fucking grinded it out. I just
tough situation for a dad to be in. But there's gonna be a fun holiday season.
Yeah, I think it was Brady Quinn's sister who was dating AJ Hawk. She spent the 06 Fiesta Bowl wearing a split jersey. It's a tough look, but I understand. Hopefully Mr. Nola doesn't make that trade. I imagine he'll be wearing a Padres jersey. Yeah, I would put money if Barstool Sportsbook wanted to put a prop on it. I think Mr. Nola wears a Padres jersey with the red Phillies hat. He's going to wear a home Padres jersey with the red Phillies hat and just a really nice fitted pair of Dewar jeans.
No, man, I think this is what he does. I think he goes the Dewar jeans. Yes, we need to send him a pair, but he's gonna go Padres jersey, Phillies jersey over it. No, he's gonna do the opposite because he had Padres jersey, Phillies jersey today, Padres hat. He's gonna go Phillies jersey, Padres jersey, Phillies hat. That's just what I think. Or maybe he just got dressed in the dark and didn't even know what he was putting on. But we'll see. We'll see. You got to be careful at the bank, though.
It ain't San Diego. No disrespect to the Padres fans.
No, it's not.
I think it gets a pizza from Angelo's. I think it gets a cheesesteak from Pat's. Jeans? Somebody? I'm going to get stabbed for saying this shit. I don't know. Good luck to both teams, though. This is the Starting Nine show, the podcast. Carl here, Jake Arrieta in Texas. Delightful stuff, buddy. Honestly, I feel so connected to the playoffs and all the shit that's going on in these stories as much as I ever have in my entire life. It's been a great project, and I know that we're going to have great stuff coming up. We'll just be Sunday. What are we doing? What's plans? Let's figure this out.
We need to figure this out. I think we get on the horn tomorrow and try and come up with a plan.
Colin, are you getting laid this weekend, or you got time to go to Philadelphia?
I mean, I got a big Jets game on Sunday, but I could always, NLCS, baby.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Wait,
no, that means he can go.
Yeah,
we're back.
He'll be if we're there. He'll be there.
Just when I think we're out of the fucking weeds with this kid, just when I think like, the Mets, he's gonna come out of the Mets. We're gonna get a run here where Colin's a normal, non-tormented human being, and right away he's going to the Zach Wilson 6-1 Mets. Colin, come back in here for a second.
We're 4-2.
Just beat the Packers.
Killed the Packers. Killed the Dolphins.
All right,
and we're about to ride.
Last question. Crazier Jets fan, you or Tom Lay?
Probably me from like a sanity standpoint. Like, I'm just as crazy about the Mets as I am the Jets.
Stay sane.
Fair enough.
We'll see you in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Good show. Good day of baseball. Thanks for listening, everybody. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you do that. Let's go.
And then go watch the Facing Nolan documentary that
I'm gonna watch that right now. I probably won't sleep tonight. Let's keep it going.
Add some
I'll
substance.
make the kids breakfast. Yeah.
Cooper wakes up and you're over there just fucking. Wait till you see the clips of him working out and doing fucking overhead dumbbell presses, like
and leg press.
Oh,
he's one of the main reasons. I'll tell you right now. He might be the main reason that I worked out before games, because when I was a young kid, I heard that he always got like a total body lift in before he pitched. So I'm like, Nolan does it, I do it.
Supposed to be, yeah. The only day he didn't lift was the day before, which is just insane. All right, can't wait to sit down with him. We got to get together with the Texas legend. Great playoff baseball. Subscribe to the show. Check out the streams. This has been a very passionate, very loaded start at 9. And the last thing, obviously, everybody just go follow Colin Cooper and put him into your radar. He's working his fucking dick off right now on this show to get these shows out on time into, we'll just say, about as hard as it can get in his position. So fucking follow the guy and throw him some love. And thank you very much for all your late hard work, Colin. This has been Starting 9. Great show. Go follow the shit. We'll see you guys next time.